We are strangers when we met. We are strangers when you left. John Ralston.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Candle Paranormal Case Files. And always, we are your hosts, Marcus D.
And Vic Whaley.
And grab your passports because we're going on a trip as we talk about the Man from Taured. On a hot day in July of 1954, a Caucasian man with a beard and a business suit walked into Tokyo International Airport. The man presented his passport to the Japanese immigration authorities. The man's passport read that he was from a country known as Taured, which, as we all know, doesn't exist. The man's passport appeared to be authentic and was stamped as if he had visited Japan several times before. But since Taured doesn't exist anywhere, he was told he'd be brought in for further questioning by Japanese authorities.
The man's primary language appeared to be French, but the man seemed to be a common traveler as he seemed to speak Japanese as well as several other languages. The man claimed to be in Japan for business. He had also claimed to have already made a hotel reservation, but when officials looked into this, the company he claimed to work for did not have any records of his existence, nor did the hotel where he supposedly had reservations know of them at all. The stranger insisted he came from a country known as Taured, located between Spain and France. As we all know, there's no country located in that area known as Taured, but there is a Principality of Andorra, and even though the stranger was interrogated for hours, he never strayed from his original story.
When the authorities searched the man's belongings, the man had a driver's license and a checkbook from Taured. He even discussed Taured's 1,000-year histories with the customs agents. After a background check revealed the man didn't have a criminal history, the man was allowed to check into a 15-story hotel, and 2 customs guards were placed outside his room. By the following morning, when the guards checked in on the man, he had vanished. The man from Taured was never seen again, and his personal effects have never resurfaced. So, okay, Vic, what type of paranormal phenomenon could we be dealing with here?
Well, my first thought is we might be dealing with some sort of aspect of the Mandela Effect.
Like them adult coloring pages, or?
No, that's a mandala. The Mandela Effect is, well, in all honesty, there's lots of information out there. If you're unfamiliar with this phenomena, you simply need to look it up. But a real quick version of it is that aspects of our reality may be overlapping with other dimensions. This could be a case where an individual has been caught in the middle of the Mandela Effect, where he's the person out from the other dimension, and our universe has a different history and sort of view on things. To him, what he's doing wouldn't seem strange. It would seem perfectly rational. It makes sense that he wouldn't understand why these people don't recognize his country, because to him it has this whole history and has been well established.
And you can find examples in our culture of the Mandela Effect. Like, take the man in Tiananmen Square holding his hand out against the tank. Did the tank run over the man? Or did he stop the tank? You can ask different people and everybody will give you different stories. Some people say the tank ran over the guy and that was the end of it. Other people say it stopped and started this whole social revolution.
The actual history that we generally recognize says the man was pulled out of the way by some nearby bystanders. But many people remember this as him being ran over.
Yeah.
Some of them sitting here among us right now.
We were talking about this, and I really thought that I remember my dad, who's a history major, telling me that the tank rolled over the guy.
And you wouldn't be alone in this. A lot of people remember that being how it happened, seeing the video, seeing the blood on the streets. But it seems that some of us remember the history one way, and other people remember it another.
So then trying to apply this to the man from Taured, so does the man just have a different account of history in his head of where he's from, or?
Well, if we look at it like some sort of dimensional unfolding, where there's being some sort of dimensional switch, with some people remaining in one history and other people coming across from another, this would be a man who is dramatically from one primary history that is not being folded over at all, perhaps in the middle of a
transitional period in between them.
So he is fully from one place, and that would explain why the timeline or the reality would then write him out at the end. That he would be a piece that wholly does not fit.
And if you think about it, in the story, when the man tries to point what he thinks is Taured, the authorities say that's Andorra. Now I'm going to ask the listeners out there, how many of you knew prior to this recording that Andorra was a country? Because I didn't know that.
I wasn't aware of it either. So Marcus, what do you think about the credibility on this story?
I struggled with it for a little bit. It's hard. I researched the story and I'm trying to go back as far as I can, trying to find out where the story is coming from. And I have not been able to find a reference to this story prior to it being in a book, Directory of Possibilities, in 1981, written by Colin Wilson and John Grant. Or it's a pen name. His real name is Paul Barnett. Okay. And this book, Directory of Possibilities, was this collection of stories on the paranormal. It's a really good book. You guys should actually get it. But in the book, there's a red flag for me because the book has no bibliography. It has no point of reference from where these two writers are getting these stories. So when I'm trying to look at, like, what are these writers, like, what's their credibility for this? Colin Wilson, he was one of the authors, and he's really known for writing, like, true crime stuff, and for paranormal mysteries. And a lot of his colleagues, their biggest criticism of him was that he believed almost every paranormal story that was told to him. Benjamin Rafford, who's a well-known paranormal writer and investigator, he criticized Wilson, saying that he really felt that he had a bias towards mystery mongering. That's what he said. He was just fascinated with the story, like I think a lot of us are when it comes to the paranormal.
Don't you think there's a possibility that he may be the outlier believer among a group of skeptics, though?
But with no bibliography, and you have two very well-known science fiction writers, the question to me is, did they find the story and add it to the book, or did these two science fiction writers create the story? Because they're capable of both.
The lack of any source material for it, and the fact that the story is always told the exact same way, does lend some shadow of scrutiny on it. And I guess he could imply that it has just one source that made it into public, and it's remained very pure to that ever since then. But I always see it as a bit of a red flag when a story only has one source, and especially one source that can't be cited.
But it's weirder too. The other author of it, John Grant or Paul Barnett, what is his real name? This guy also too. He was an accomplished fiction and nonfiction writer. Like, he wrote both. Like, if you look this guy up, he's got two different books, and I was fascinated because one's called Debunk It, where it's a critical thinking book where he tells you how to look past the lies of politicians and religious leaders. And at the same time, he's writing a book called The Dragons of Manhattan, which is about a nation that the leader hopes that the people don't discover that the whole country's being ran by, like, lizard people, like shape-shifting lizard people. So it's just, it's confusing.
So I guess in summation, this story is just very difficult to source.
But it's a good story.
Oh, it's an amazing story. I understand why it's made the circulation around.
That's why we picked this story, because it's so cool to listen to.
But just difficult to confirm it being true.
Yeah, I mean, you guys make up your own minds.
Hey guys, and thank you for tuning in to our most recent episode of One Candle Paranormal Case Files.
Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know that we had a great time making it for you guys. As always, if you guys want to know what our next video is going to be, check us out on social media. You can find us on Facebook, One Candle Society, Twitter at One Candle Society, and Instagram, One Candle Society. It's pretty straightforward. But don't forget, keep believing.
Because we'll keep listening.